I did this experiment in voluntary simplicity a few years ago for a couple of years, and it was that I had read a lot of times in books or articles about how there's a couple billion people in the world who live on less than $1 a day. So I wanted to try to live on $1 a day, which obviously I live in San Francisco. I can't exactly do that because my apartment's more than $1 a day, my public transportation is more than $1 a day, and so it was basically my discretionary income. So food, going out, entertainment, recreation, anything like that extra was just $1 a day. So I dove in for 40 days of that, and I gave myself some rules. I could spend $1 a day, but it wasn't I took my $1 every day and said, okay, what can I buy with it? I could spread it out over a few days. So if I bought a $2 bag of carrots, or rice, that could spread out over the week. My friends could not buy me things. They couldn't say, oh, you're only on $1 a day, then I'll take you to this concert, or I'll buy your dinner, because basically I have generous friends. They would have just taken care of me for 40 days, and that would have not been the point. And another rule was, I've got a cupboard and freezer full of food. And so for those 40 days, those were off limits. I couldn't use any of my spices and all the extra stuff that sits in my cupboards and freezer. I'd be on public transportation, and I'd be on day 20 or something of my experiment where I wasn't eating that well because I only had $1 a day to eat with, and I'd be on the bus and I'd look at different restaurants that I'd be going by, and I'd be like, oh man, at the end of my 40 days I'm totally going to eat at that restaurant. And that was one of the lessons that I realized towards the end, that the people who are living in poverty, they're not thinking that. They're not thinking, I'm going to go eat at that restaurant. That's never an option to go eat at that restaurant. When you play poker and you're like, I'm going to put all my chips into the middle of the table. There's something about that that's very, very appealing to me, because I want to be, as somebody who's following Jesus, I want to be somebody who's ready, that's a big should my Maker, should God ask me to do something that's pretty darn hard. And so I felt like I was kind of training for that moment. I have this definition in my head of what a spiritual discipline is, and I define it, I think it's kind of like Richard Foster defines it, as any activity purposefully undertaken that brings us in line with God so that He can transform us. And so in that sense, my 40-day experiment was a spiritual discipline, because it put me right in front of God so that He could reveal things about what was going on with this experiment and what I needed to change. He revealed compassions and compulsions, things that needed to be worked on, things that I needed to develop empathy for people living in poverty. There were all kinds of spiritual things going on, and I've held on to that God as provider theme in the years since I've done the experiments. All kinds of things that I can recognize a lot better as a result of doing my experiments.